Sakurai just hosted possibly the best Nintendo Direct that I've seen in a while, and it was all dedicated to just one game. I mean, it was up there with the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct that we got a couple months ago, if not better. But there's something within that Direct that really caught my attention, and something that I was really hoping that Sakurai would do was some sort of story mode. And there seems to actually be one, and it's called Road Trip. Now, it's not necessarily the story mode that you might be thinking. It seems to pull from elements of different story modes that Sakurai has done in the past with the Smash Brothers games. However, it seems like there's a lot more to this, as it actually has full-fledged cutscenes. I mean, the quality of brand new Smash character reveals as well. Look at the quality of the Galactic Nova. So first, we have to dissect this mode and figure out what the heck is this even going to be about, and how is it going to play. But before we do so, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Kirby Air Riders and Nintendo in general. And also, thank you guys so much for helping me on the road to 400,000 subscribers. We're almost at 380, and last week you guys helped out a ton by giving 130 plus subscribers 3 days straight. So let's see if we can get over 140 in today's video and get closer to our goal. Thanks guys, and on to the video. So just because this mode has cutscenes that are very similar to Smash Brothers Brawl's Subspace Emissary, which we'll get into in a second, it doesn't mean it plays like Subspace did, where Subspace was also a 2D action-adventure game where you platformed, fought enemies, and pretty much went on a journey throughout different levels. But that would be something hard to do with something like Kirby Air Ride. I feel like the only way that they could actually make this work as some type of adventure game was if they decided to give the game like a mini open world and had like levels and, you know, different things to explore. But Sakurai chose to go the route that's kind of like a mixture between the Spirit mode, World of Light from Smash Ultimate, and the Classic mode from the Smash Bros series, where you're on a series of battles until you reach the end and fight a boss, which you can do with each character. And that's kind of what this mode is about. Now, just like Classic mode, this seems like a mode that you'll want to complete with each racer. You'll drive down these paths where it'll give you one of 3 options to choose from. For instance, all 3 of these options are yellow panels, which means these are all top ride, but only 2 of them are based on racing, and 1 of them is based on a time attack. And depending on which one you choose, you'll get a different stat reward that you'll probably carry with you all the way to the end. The bottom left here shows you how many stops you have until you reach the end. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the only path that we'll take. After we get to the flag, will there be another path? I do believe that's the case, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But if you look at the symbols, it looks like there's going to be 3 stages until you reach the 4th one, being the flag. And you can see along those stages, there's different icons, including a star icon and some type of monster with horns icon. Now, that monster with horns, I'm guessing, is probably a boss battle, where you'll have one halfway through and then one at the very end right before you get to the flag, where the star is probably different machines that you can pick up along your way, which we already know is confirmed. This next path gives us 3 choices again, and they're all defeat the rival, but 2 of them are green, which indicates city trials, and the one that's red is just a regular race, but in all of them, you're going to have to defeat a rival. The next one shows all 3 green panels, which shows that it's all city trial, but they're different missions. One is a drag race, one is destroy boxes, and one is target flight. The only other one that we see shows us 3 race options. Now, the reason this isn't quite like Classic mode is because it's not just battling enemies and making your way all the way to the end of a line of battles. This time you're going to have multiple missions that drastically change how you play the game. Like this one, you're not just racing, but you have to defeat all 4 enemies that are on the track by running into them. Or this one where the top right track is full of sweets and you have to eat a certain amount in order to complete the mission. Or this one where you have to track down 3 tack enemies that are running with a bag of goodies. Now, we know some of these roads will also have different things outside of just missions. For instance, you'll come across a shop where you can buy a new vehicle or buy different perks to help you out, or little obstacles or item pickups that you can stop at. And there's even little rest stations where you can pick another stat in order to help you out as well. And yes, it is confirmed in the Direct that the little star icon on that line map is indeed a new machine that you can get. Now, here's a part of this that I think went over some people's heads as it was just quickly explained, but you can pick up some items from past Kirby games as well. And this is when we reach that icon with the horns. So it may not necessarily be a boss battle, but instead one of these little character events. Depending on what item you pick up right before this, it will take you on an alternate route. For instance, if you pick up a Poppy Bros Jr., he will actually blow the tree up with a bomb, catch it on fire, and send you in a different direction. Where if you give it a heart from Kirby Star Allies and befriend it, he'll also give you tons of sweets and send you in the direction of the sweet area. It's almost as if you're playing a Star Fox game where there's going to be tons of different routes and options for you to take, probably containing different things on each route. Now, Sakurai did tease that some of the roadways and areas will have special events, so you'll probably want to, see them all and do all the different combinations. For instance, there's one that shows this weird, shadowy, dark matter looking King DDD character again, and it seems like it might might be a special little mini boss or some type of rival that you'll have to race when you come across them. However, if you look at the background carefully, it looks like the same battle arena where we fought King Dedede as a boss battle in the first Kirby Air Ride. So I would not be surprised if this is just another boss battle like that one had. But like I previously mentioned, I'm going to dive more into the boss battles here in a second. Sakurai also shows us some more character interactions that we'll get at the end of each path. For instance, here's one against Magman from Kirby and the Crystal Shards. Here's one where Kirby grabs L-Line from Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, where she paints him a portal into the next area. In this jungle area, Tortilding from Kirby and the Forgotten Land comes crashing down into the trees. In this area, there's tons of blippers along the path, and you can actually summon in a Twister to come take them off the path. King Gollum appears in this one from Kirby Mass Attack, and in this one you can summon in the Computer Virus from Kirby Superstar in order to warp you to a new area and protect you from the attack from Mr. Bright. You can even see Mr. Shine up there as well. Now we actually know that there is a full-fledged story mode in this game that involves tons of really insane looking cutscenes, so let's talk about them. What we know is that a whole bunch of vehicles come raining down from space on the planet Popstar, but in this kind of dormant gray state. And only once a rider initiates contact with them and gives them their own will, they can then be booted up and used by any rider. And we can see lots of cutscenes of all these different characters interacting with their vehicles, driving around, I guess, a city at Popstar now, which kind of came out of nowhere. But all of a sudden, one day, all the vehicles stop moving and start facing towards one direction, and forcing the riders to go check out what in the world the vehicles are pointing towards. Now, Sakurai pretty much already tells us what the vehicles are pointing towards, which is probably Zora. Zora is some type of inorganic, conscious life form that simply can't move for some reason, and he comes blasting out of space and crash lands in the middle of the desert. Now, based on this mode's ability to let you, kind of write out your own path and, chart your own final destination, it's probably going to change depending on the path that you take, where he lands. That's why it shows it sometimes in the jungle or in the lava area, so it depends on where you travel. But for some reason, it seems like the machines are tied to this creature, and that's pretty much where all the intro cutscenes begin. We can also see that it looks like every character will have their own cutscenes, which is pretty interesting. Now, some of these cutscenes are absolutely insane, and I have no clue what it can mean. For instance, here's one of this giant tank machine just sitting in the desert with a giant cannon, it looks like, in the front. I have absolutely no clue what this could even be, but we can see it has one giant eye towards the front that lights up. So it seems to be some type of giant mech or something, but what in the world is this going to be? Is this some sort of new boss battle? Is it going to tie into some type of final area? It's unknown. And then we have this weird scene in the sky where it seems to be tons of battleships just being carried and flying towards some destination. Upon closer inspection, it looks like to be some sort of robot creatures that are carrying them, almost like robot bees it looks like in this scene. Now, I don't know about you, but this is giving me huge Sonic flashbacks, like Eggman's fleet from Sonic Heroes and even the little buzzer bees from Dr. Eggman. So like, yeah, I don't know if this is a Sonic tease or what. Now, these whole scenes that we're seeing just reminds me so much of Subspace, especially that scene where all the characters break into their own vehicles and fly towards the giant cannon manned by Ganondorf and Bowser. I mean, that was one of my favorite scenes growing up, and it looks like we might see something very similar. I mean, shoot, even Kirby flies in on the Dragoon and just slices the cannon straight in half. So I think we could see something very similar with all the characters from Kirby Air Riders just kind of joining together on their own machines and flying towards this villain, whoever the main villain's going to be. But this time, it looks like it goes even further than it just being some new original enemy and new original story from Sakurai like he did with Smash Brothers. This seems to be tying into other Kirby lore as well. For instance, we get a scene of it panning out from Zora and going straight to the Fountain of Dreams in the sky for some reason. It then shows the Star Rod activate and send swirly sparkles all the way up to the Galactic Nova? So this was a character from Kirby Superstar, and in fact a pretty important and powerful one in the lore, because this thing has the power to actually grant one's wish. In Kirby Superstar, Marx wanted to control planet Popstar, so he actually turned into this giant monstrous being in order to do so. Where Meta Knight used his wish just to scrap against the greatest warrior in the galaxy. I mean, come on, that's raw. But the last thing we remember is Marx flying into the Galactic Nova after Kirby defeated him, and it pretty much exploding completely. So the question on a lot of people's minds is, how in the world is this thing even back? I mean, we can even see part of the Galactic Nova's body floating around in space still in Kirby Star allies like the Compass. Well, we actually get to see a second similar clockwork star from Kirby's planet Robobot, which has a silver one that President Haltman uses for his battleship, the Access arc. Now in Kirby Superstar, we actually get to fly inside and take out the nucleus where its heart sits. And in Planet Robobot, we get to do the same thing with the True Arena final secret boss battle against Star Dream's Soul's operating system, which is essentially the same thing, just a heart this time encased by mechanical machinery thanks to Haltman and his machines. Which did make me wonder if this Nova was made artificially from Haltman and not necessarily a real Clockwork star. So like, yeah, we're going into deep levels here, so like this is probably for a whole separate video. But either way, for some reason Galactic Nova is back, and it's the same exact one from Kirby Superstar. Now there is one bonus track that Sakurai hasn't shown us yet, but I think it's safe to say it's the inside of the Galactic Nova. I mean, just look at this track. It looks like we're on the inside of some futuristic machine, and of course this looks like nothing else but the Galactic Nova. I mean, it just makes too much sense. I mean, it even shows an area with a giant purple heart protected by a shield in the background, with the lasers surrounding it, which is the exact same area as the boss fight against the core from Kirby Superstar, and also the heart, or the OS, from Kirby Planet Robobot. So it seems like the Galactic Nova is going to be a big part of the story for one reason or another. I would like to think some type of brand new antagonist was able to rebuild it or something and used it in order to have some type of wish of an army to attack everybody from Kirby Air Riders. So yeah, the story looks absolutely insane, but I want to move into one last thing before we head out. Now Sakurai lets us know that there will be boss battles in this game. Now it seems like they're just tied to the events that happen at the end of a city trial run, but I would be seriously shocked if they're not used for anything else, like story mode bosses that we can come across. Considering the fact that Sakurai also mentioned that there's going to be more, including 2 sneak peeks that he gave us, one of Nightmare and one of Zero from Kirby Crystal Shards. So would Sakurai really make tons of extra boss battles just for this side little mode at the end of City Trial? I like to think that there's other ways to fight these things, including the story mode. Maybe at the end of each story mode, there's one boss that the game will choose randomly for us to fight. This would be something similar to Classic Mode in Smash Ultimate. Depending on the character that you picked, you would face a final boss fight at the very end of your Classic Mode run. So something like this would make a lot of sense to me. Perhaps we can even go up against mini bosses sometimes. Like we even saw in City Trial, we have the return of Dynablade as a mini boss that sits in the overworld, and we can even have Krako this time around. They even showed one which is like a giant wheelie boss. So I would absolutely love it if Sakurai has a lot more planned, and of course this is also probably for a video in and of itself, but you know, just off the dome right now, I could definitely see one of the bosses being Void Termina as he's in his giant husk just standing in the middle of the stage and stuff. That would just make too much sense to me. I mean, you're also just flying a star around in that game, so it makes too much sense, honestly. But I'm honestly a little too excited for this story mode. I know it's not going to be anything super crazy. I mean, it's a Kirby Air Ride game, so my expectations are in check, but still, I think Sakurai is cooking up some really exciting things with some of the gameplay and also the cutscenes that we're going to be getting with each and every character, it looks like. I literally cannot wait to see what in the world he's cooking up with this wacky story this time around and see how close to Subspace Emissary it actually is, since I haven't been able to get that back since Smash Brawl. Man, I love that mode. So seeing something that's even close to that right now just gets me so excited and gives me goosebumps a little bit. So let me know down below if you're excited for the road trip mode and if you're excited to see what in the world this story mode is going to have in store. If you notice anything or have any more ideas that I might have missed, make sure you comment them down below as well. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See ya, guys.